Welcome to the Wolf Connection podcast. I'm your host, John Calfa. Will Stenberg, Zack Stentz, thank you guys so much for coming out to Wolf Connection and seeing our pack and getting this experience. I mean, what was it like for both of you? Because we just got in from the outside. You guys went to the store a little bit. We spent a couple hours together. Just what are you guys feeling right now? How's everything going for you both? I know it's a little hot outside, but what are you taking away from this?
Having a wolf come and nuzzle you is a much different experience from watching them from 2 miles away in the Lamar Valley. Let me tell you that they're both wonderful experiences, but one when you're in Yellowstone, you feel like you're a voyeur and an eavesdropper, and coming to the Wolf Connection, it's right there in the name. You feel like you're making a connection with a whole other order of intelligent being.
Yeah, for sure. I kept noticing the things about them that are dog-like and the things that really aren't. I think a dog typically is either really skittish and scared, or really desperately in need of your affection. And what I noticed about these wolves is they're just like grounded, and they're like, they say hi to you, and then they go off and do their own thing, and it's an encounter that happens on their terms, which is pretty amazing.
What are you guys taking away from this? Because like you said, you are invested in this Rick McIntyre project. You're doing this incredible work with him in Yellowstone, bringing these stories to life. What's something that maybe you're taking away from this experience that you can possibly bring to the project that you guys are helming and moving forward with?
I mean, one thing that comes to mind immediately is I'm going and I'm thinking of the drafts that we have. And I think in the current one, we actually describe a wolf as barking to get someone's attention. I'm like, that's actually wrong. We need to go and fix that. That's a dog behavior. Like wolves, from what we've seen, like very rarely they have other vocalizations, but they very rarely bark. And it's very important to convey that while these are canines, they are not domestic dogs. They are a very, very different creature altogether.
I think, the individualism of them, that was something that came up a lot in our drafts, and working with our partners is like, how can the audience distinguish between individual wolves, and finding ways to showcase that on the screen. I guess being here, I was less worried about that because they're all individuals, and they're all pretty different, either visually or just through their mannerisms and behaviors. It's very clear you're dealing with individual beings.
Yeah. Did you guys feel that too, that they all have their own personalities? And I know you guys.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. There's many personality types as humans, I think. It was amazing going from enclosure to enclosure, and the body language of the different ones were different. The ones that would come check you out and it's like, I've seen enough of you, and walk away. The ones that wouldn't approach you at all. There was just so much variation in what we saw even in those 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah. What about you, Will?
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear. There are different personalities, and you see that with dogs too. But dogs are influenced so much by their owners. And as we were talking about earlier, dogs are smart, and we all love our dogs and like to brag about their intelligence. But they have a lot of stuff done for them and a lot of problems solved for them. And wolves have this. You look in their eyes, and there's this keen intelligence that's. I don't want to say unnerving because it's awe-inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, what update, if any, can you guys give people who are listening about the project moving forward? I know we spoke, I don't even know if it was a few months ago, it might have been, but where does the project sit in terms of drafting stage? I know you said you were drafting maybe some of the scripts. Where is there any movement so far that's maybe different from what we talked about last time?
I can't remember exactly what we said last time, but we can say that the scripts are all the scripts are written.
Okay.
We've been through several drafts, and we're at a place where our partners are really happy with it. And we are in the slowest and most maddening stage of script development, which is which is the attaching talent stage, as they say. And we cannot name names, but our partners at Stampede, who used to be big muckety mucks at Warner Brothers a couple of regimes ago, so they still have very good relationships. They are in the process of approaching several very exciting filmmakers and a couple of actors who we think would be very good for the Rick McIntyre part, to try and put them together in a package, and then take that package to the big streamers and studios to see if which ones bite.
Yeah. I, it's so exciting to see this because I think we spoke, I don't know if I spoke to you guys about this, but probably with Ashley Avis when she was here. All of these wolf projects coming to the forefront, especially in these big mediums. What does it mean? I might have asked this the last time, but now that you guys have stepped foot in a couple sanctuaries, you've been to Yellowstone now, talking with Rick. What does it feel like to be fully encapsulated into this wolf space? I'll start with you, Will, and then Zach, you can chime in.
I mean, it's an honor and a privilege, and the wolf space in some ways is a battle. We wish it weren't, but there's a tide that we're trying to push back against, and that has several fronts. And one is in politics, and another is in art and culture, and that's where we come in, is trying to tell stories, or to broadcast the stories that Rick has told, to reach the widest possible audience, as many people as possible. So yeah, I mean, that we're on the art and culture front and the storytelling front of that of in the wolf space, and I think it's a crucial role.
Yeah, we're going up against several centuries of Western storytelling. We've got the Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf, and we've got Little Red Riding Hood, and we've got overuse of wolf as a metaphor, as a negative metaphor, and we feel like all of these, things like what we're working on, and American Wolf, and some of the other projects that are bubbling up out there, really have the opportunity to essentially reach the next generation, and that's so critically necessary in changing, especially in Western states, the public perception of wolves.
Yeah, I would only add to that it does seem like the Cody Roberts incident, or however we want to refer to it, as terrible as it was, and it's beyond words, there was a hope. Everybody was hoping against hope that it was some kind of inflection point. And of course, these projects were in development before that, but it's interesting to note that, along with all the lobbying and the rally that you went to in DC, and the ride to Daniel, there's these films being developed too, and it does seem like something is in the air for wolves, and we're obviously proud to be part of that, just as you are.
Yeah, I love that you guys talked about the next generation. I think that was something that really hit me, is that there are these young voices. And Zach, you have three of your own young voices that are so in tune with this as we were walking. I know only two came today, two of your kids, but so in tune with, I think, with what was happening here, and understanding the human animal element, not just the human wolf element. I mean, it obviously must hit close to home for both of you, just to see that, and that those sort of feelings and those things are bubbling up, that they are taking note of what's happening in nature, and how to help, and how to preserve and conserve the best they can.
Yeah, and as a Californian, it's such an exciting time to be a wolf lover, because what are we up to, 8 packs in California now? That I remember when it was the big news story, what was it, only like 10 years ago, when OR7 came down from Oregon, and it was like a wolf in California, and now we have full packs reestablishing themselves, including one only like about 150 miles or a couple hundred miles from here, in Sequoia National Park and National Forest. So I'm excited about the next decade for what that means for hopefully wolves reestablishing themselves, and humans becoming more innovative about ways that we can coexist with wolves in the wild.
Yeah. I just as you hear the stories, was there anything that resonated with you, either of you, for today? But talking about some of the stuff that we do, I know it's a little bit different when you talk about wolf therapy and you talk about, having youth being in with, a wolf and stuff like that, as opposed to say like equine therapy. Was there anything that struck you guys that maybe you were that, maybe hit a nerve that you were like, wow, I didn't know that this is the way things could happen? I don't know if anything hit you guys while we were going on that tour for 2 hours.
Yeah, the therapy component. I mean, if I may, I'll give a little shout out. I volunteer at Oregon Donkey Sanctuary, and although it may seem very different, it's two very misunderstood animals who suffer because of those stereotypes and who have deep, rich emotional lives and keen intelligence. And we're also trying to do a therapy component. So what you guys are doing with bringing kids out here and finding the commonality between the trauma that animals go through and that we as human animals go through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an understudied resource. And I think the possibilities go really deep. And you could see that in those wolves. And that was really cool to hear about that aspect of your program.
Absolutely, and it really kind of brought home the kind of the central spine of the story that we're trying to tell with Rick's story and the reintroduction of the wolves, which is, you're telling the story about the wolves in and of themselves, but you're also telling the story about how proximity to wolves and seeing wolves kind of speaks to the human soul and how it changes the people who are close to them, and the fact that you're finding that through the therapy with and through these kids and adults having these encounters with wolves really kind of reinforced that in my mind, that there is something about the wolf just really speaks to something deep inside of us.
I, and I love that it's you guys are able to feel it and see it. And I know, like I said, a lot of people, who are listening to this, it's hot outside, but to see the regulation, to see how we as both species can sit in the same space, even when it is, high temperatures, and be in a common area and, congregate, which I think is really cool. I think a lot of people wouldn't think that, is that you have, a wolf and humans together. And we've been trying to, bust these myths for a while. And we've had such success with this. But the fact that you guys are in the wild wolf space and you come here and you're able to get some wolf medicine is always a great thing. I mean, what's, I guess, one thing from each of you that you are taking from the entirety of your visit and what you're going to use moving forward, maybe?
I was thinking about something that happened in Yellowstone when I was here, which is we got to meet a really wonderful gentleman named John Potter, who's an Ojibwe oil painter, who's very close friends with Rick and Doug, especially Rick. And he and his brother and a few others were invited to do a welcoming ceremony when the wolves first came back. Amazing guy, and he shared with us some like tribal knowledge about wolves. And he said that what really struck me that I walked away with is he said in the Ojibwe language, there's no word for animal. There's just people. These are wolf people, raven people,
Wow.
crow people, fox people, us. And that's kind of how I felt when I was in there. Like, this is another nation, and although there's a gap between us, we're not the same. We all have personhood, and you feel that when you look at them.
Yeah, I think along very similar lines, it's getting to have these encounters is a nice demonstration that there are so many different ways that humans can encounter the natural world and can encounter the kind of world outside of ourselves, and that knocks us out of our own heads. You're not thinking of, when you're looking in a wolf's amber eyes, you're not thinking about doing your taxes, or you're not thinking about, I hope there's not going to be traffic on the drive back. You are purely in that moment, having this encounter with another intelligent being, and that's something that I'm going to carry with me forever.
Wow. I can't thank you both enough for, taking up time, in your schedule to be here, to make time to see our sanctuary, to see, the wolves and, to do this. I mean, I know it's,
It was a pure treat.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, I know.
Yeah.
It's always good. I mean, it's great just to get the word out about, what we do, the wolves that are here, and just to bring those experiences to as many people as possible. So again, I thank you both for the work you're doing. And yeah, we just look forward to more updates for when, things, yeah, fingers crossed.
You
I
guys
know.
are now our official forum, so
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, well, you'll be the first ones. We'll break the news with you.
I love it. So you guys have heard it here first. Anybody who's listening, you hear it first. But Zack Stentz, Will Stenberg, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you guys, and thanks for bringing your family, Zack. This was really great.
Oh, thank you for hosting them. They'll this is not something that happens every day.
Totally. Oh my God. Thank you guys so much. House to y'all out there, and be with you next time. Bye, everybody.